So when I said I'm going to talk about media no one's ever heard of in my Uncharted 4 video, I meant it. So there's this little indie film. It has multiple names, but the version I watched on Netflix is called My Suicide Director's Cut, but also has the name Archie's Final Project. I can't find any reason as to why there is multiple names, so I'm just going to use Archie's Final Project as my preferred name because it's not as blatant as My Suicide. And supposedly it was shot in 2006 and released in 2009 by this one Reddit comment I found. I can't really find much on this movie besides a few Reddit posts, and freaking Shane Dawson recommending this movie a decade ago.
I humped it, and it kept going, and it came all over the cat.
There's not many well-known actors in it besides David Carradine from Kill Bill. Not anyone else I recognize besides Napoleon Dynamite's grandma. And I feel like I know this guy, but I'm not going to look it up and find out where I know him from. And this wasn't directed by a notable guy I know of. Just looking at his IMDb, I'm like, oh, he did the Spider-Man show from the 90s. So did I just find a cult classic? Maybe. I kind of feel anxious about covering a film like this by giving it the analysis it deserves, but I feel it's my duty to because of how unnoticed this film has gone, even with my micro fan base. In fact, little behind the scenes here, finding footage of this movie on YouTube is so hard, I'm using a pirate site to get what I need. Don't tell Dad though. So since there's a good chance you don't know what this movie is about, we follow Archie Williams, an edgelord who carries his camera everywhere and records everything in his daily life. Which it must be hell paying for all his SD cards if he actually saved all the footage like it implied he did. But anyways, one day during his film class, he says he's going to kill himself for his film project. This causes a stir, and chaos ensues. He becomes a celebrity at his school, and this catches the attention of Sierra. Basically the popular girl who secretly is as suicidal and lost as Archie is. And through the lens of Archie's camera, we follow him deeper and deeper into his film. So just through a synopsis alone, this obviously isn't for everyone. But I love the premise. It's something that would interest me anyways. I love the way it's shot and edited. It's very early 2000s, and since it's shot on a camcorder, I feel like it was shot where I live. It's so amateur and real, I love it. The editing is crazy though. It feels like I'm watching a Schizo Sam Hyde video.
Sam! Yo, your space heater fell over. You're gonna burn up. Yo!
But it's still entirely unique. The whole movie can go on an entire tangent, but still feel consistent. I just love the editing techniques for this film. It tries very hard to make everything seen through the lens of someone's camera, or a security camera, or a doorbell camera, basically whatever would be lying around. But sometimes it's just shot like a normal movie, which is disappointing because they were so close to that feel. But it's still 95% on Archie's camera. Okay, I'm going to spoil the ending, so if you're still watching and you haven't seen it, just pop up Netflix and watch it. In the ending, when Sierra attempts suicide, he keeps cutting to a funeral as Archie is trying to save her. There's so many scenes where it adds so much more to it with the way it's made. Like, I won't be afraid to change genres or have us watching the scene where Archie watches it or edits it, which makes it way more powerful. This is what I'm talking about when I say this has unique editing. In fact, the main actor for this film edited the whole thing himself, on set. Little fun fact. It's impressive such a low-budget movie can have such fine editing. It's unique, and that's better than it just being a normal movie with such good writing. But also, speaking of the writing is on extremely serious topics, but also has a great sense of humor that's probably aged better because of the state of humor and culture. Is it possible for a film to feel outdated but also relevant? I don't know. Writing is done in a subtle way where it's not glorifying, it's just more like how you see it with real people. It actually feels like the actors were picked off the street and just told to play themselves. It's not afraid to make someone look stupid, or make them look like they're trying to be smart. There's scenes where Archie goes out and talks to homeless people, and people his age. They give them their thoughts on life and the system. This also happens after he becomes a celebrity at his school, and all the kids give their thoughts, and he just apathetically goes along with it. Those people are basically this video. And maybe it's kind of a soap drama in the last 40 or so minutes. I'm not saying it wasn't emotional. It sure was. This didn't hit as hard as it could. But it brought the characters to their obvious conclusion. But speaking of the characters, let's talk about them.
It's as pretty as it is cruel.
Based off what you already know about Archie, believe it or not, he's pretty relatable, wouldn't you know?
Oh my god! Oh my god, Karen, why did you do that? Karen, why did you do that? That's all the money we had! I'm sorry!
He's a loner who carries around a camera all day and is a movie buff who's a little ironic before post-irony was the thing. But he's still sincere when he points out the cuts on Sierra's legs and tries to talk to her about it. He lives with his mother and father. His father works at the best chicken joint this side of the Mississippi, Los Pueblos Hermanos, and his mother is a lawyer or something. It's pretty obvious to say they aren't very functional. And with how we see their relationship and how Archie describes it, Probably makes him feel more neglected than anything else. Archie briefly states he has ADHD, and we have a glimpse early in the movie of his tantrums. It's pretty subtle and easy to miss, but you could assume it's been a long struggle for Archie.
If I stay, don't go.
Ciara is the main love interest for this movie. Her brother kills himself a year before this movie started, and her family covers it up, saying it was a car crash and making corny ads, but what they don't know is, Ciara also knows. They don't know she knows. You get that? So she's basically in the same place that Archie's in, and brings him along on this journey. And she's the emotional hook for Archie during this movie. But the way they portray their depression just feels childish, and it feels like they're just in an edgy phase, more so for her than Archie. I'm glad they didn't choose a conventional ending, because in the end, after everyone's happy and the emotional music is playing, it just cuts and we see where Ciara is a few years later, with a completely different guy who Archie describes as
some brotastic undergrad she met on the interweb.
I feel like that's what someone like her would do. She wanted to stay with Archie forever, and I think the director knew that too.
There is a house built out of stone.
Gore is a character introduced late into the film. Archie meets him during a party, and they hang out for a while. And after a few minutes, while they're all drunk and high, he disappears for a few with Archie's camera. When you find out what he was doing with the camera later in the movie, it was such a beautiful scene. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
I don't feel anybody loves me. No, I don't even feel it, but I don't feel anybody loves me.
The acting and auras of it is top tier. You don't know much about him, but I guess it's just because he's more of a plot device than anything. Anyways, you also see Corey and his friend when Archie returns to school, and he isn't used till almost an hour later. His friend goes on a tangent about the system, and Corey tries to defend it, saying stuff like, there's people out there, and stuff like that. It adds such a layer of irony to what happens later. It also makes the world feel so real, and adds to the feeling that the people you pass every day, they could be going through the same thing that you're going through, and you could have such a deep connection with them. After the emotional scene where everyone finds Corey's corpse, Archie mentions to Ciara Corey tried to get the rope off his neck. That just adds the extra humanity to him. But my question is, why be so obsessed with death when none of that matters? Depression is just a search for meaning. That's all it is. There's no grand thesis to it to make sense of it. It's just nothing. I kind of realize it's just an emotion. It can change, you can change. This is the very juvenile opinion probably. Mental health is way more layered than that. But maybe the movie doesn't have much important to say about anything related to mental health. But that's just because it's an unseeable thing. How could he betray it? That's what all the film is about. It's about constantly trying to find any meaning to anything. It doesn't matter if it's a comedy or drama or anything. It's all that stories are about. There's really no way to summarize this because this movie is about such a broad topic. But I love what the poet Vargas says to Archie after Corey's death. It's such a brilliant summation of this film.
You start giving to others, you'll see your pain fade. You want to kill yourself, man. Kill what you don't like. Kill Narcissus. I had an old self. I killed. You can kill yourself too. But that doesn't mean you gotta stop living. Kill the part that's all about you and nobody else. Because that's the part that makes you want to curl up and die.
That's it. I think I said all I could, but it's time to turn it off. Oh, this is so hard. I feel like there's something I forgot to say. I don't even know what I'm going to do after this, but oh, whatever.
Is it the red wire or the blue wire? Just pick one and cut. It just doesn't matter anymore.